My name is Joel Garrison. I'm a hyper-curious learner and a lover of the sense of sight. I'm delighted to moderate this podcast dedicated to sight on behalf of the Internet of Senses Institute. Today, we are incredibly excited to speak with an individual on the cutting edge of using virtual reality, or VR, as experiential learning in the university setting. Let me welcome to the audience Humberto Coronado. Humberto is director of the Master of Science in Supply Chain Management at the Robert H. Smith School of Business. He's also a senior lecturer that teaches graduate level business and supply chain management courses. Humberto has over 15 years of industry experience in logistics and supply chain management. He earned a bachelor's degree in business from the Universidad Autónoma de Colombia. Please pardon my Spanish there.
You're good.
I am not very fluent in Spanish. He then completed a Master of Professional Studies in Supply Chain Management from the Pennsylvania State University and a Master of Business Administration with an emphasis in accounting and finance from the Robert H. Smith School of Business at the University of Maryland. He is also a certified supply chain professional. Humberto, before we discuss the academic side of your work, please tell us more about your life story. Where did you grow up, and how did you become a passionate educator at the University of Maryland?
Joe, first of all, thank you for having me today. I'm very delighted and excited about being on your show. So here's my little story. I was born and raised in the Caribbean coast of Colombia in a town called Barranquilla. This is a town of, maybe you know, Sofia Vergara, Shakira. You know, fun fact here, I'm within 1 degree of separation from both of them. Anyway, I grew up like almost every other kid in my generation in Colombia, watching MTV, playing soccer, and of course, drinking the best coffee in the world. Later on, I went to college, you know, like, as I said, like every other kid in my generation, went to college, and as you said, graduated, you know, from Universidad Autónoma del Caribe with a bachelor's degree in business administration and a minor in marketing and communications. And I was looking to start my business career in international business and logistics, working for some of the world's largest ocean carriers, such as Evergreen Marine, EWL, APL, and a few others. I even went on to co-found a small 3PL, third-party logistics provider in Colombia. And it was during those years that I started teaching at a small college in my hometown in the evenings. You know, later on, I moved to the US, and I had the opportunity to leverage all my business experience to work for some of the Fortune 500 companies that you know, such as Coca-Cola, FedEx, Walmart, in operations related roles. I ended up years later, as you said during your introduction, pursuing graduate education in supply chain management, as well as an MBA. And I've always been curious about education. You know, it runs in the family. At some point in her life, my mom was a kindergarten. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, but in her life, at some point, she was a kindergarten teacher. My youngest brother is a language teacher, and my eldest brother is also an elementary teacher here in the US. At some point, he was also I think, a principal of a school in North Carolina. Prior to coming to Maryland, I was working for the largest provider of online education for the armed forces in the United States. I was tasked with growing the market for their equivalent program in supply chain management. My role there was to establish strategic alliances with corporations so that they could get trained in supply chain management via online education. And, you know, I was getting more of this feel of the education field. And when the opportunity to work for the University of Maryland presented itself, I just jumped at it. I started at UMD about 10 years ago as the associate director for the MSc Supply Chain Management. Fast forward 10 years, and I am the academic director now. I must say, I have been extremely lucky to have had along the way great mentors that have made this long-term career a success at Maryland, and I'm very grateful for that. And in addition to being the academic director for the program, I also teach supply chain related courses at all levels, from undergraduates to MBAs.
Wow, that is a very impressive background. You could definitely say that education runs in your family. I'm interested. I'm curious now. How did you get attracted to business? I clearly see a direct line that led you to becoming a passionate educator. But what really, was there a moment in college or some point in your life when you decided, hey, supply chain management, that's the thing for me?
That's a great question. I get students ask me that a lot. Let me tell you, it's a funny story because here's a logistician's job. No kid dreams of being a logistician, right? Kids say, I want to be a policeman, I want to be a doctor, a teacher, right? Nobody says, I want to grow up to be a logistician, a supply chain manager, right? So I went to college in the evening, so I worked full time during the day, right? I put myself through college. I paid, I've been fortunate enough to have been able to position myself to pay through all my education from college all the way to my MBA. But yeah, it was during those years, early years of college, when I was looking for a job to be able to sustain myself. And there was this small maritime agency looking for a sales rep. And I found, well, what is a maritime agency? What do they do? Well, a maritime agency is a shipbroker. Shipbrokers represent ocean carriers in ports around the world. So this small maritime agency was looking for a sales rep to expand the market in Barranquilla. So I jumped at the opportunity, went to the process, got the job, really liked the sales role, but I was more curious about the operational side of the maritime field. And that's when an opportunity became available for me to jump into a documentation role. So the guy that prepares all the documentations for imports and exports within the agency. And from there on, I moved to another. I was recruited by the back then largest ocean carrier in the world, Evergreen Marine, to work as an operations representative. So then from there, I moved on to operations assistant manager and then operations manager, in which I was managing the entire operation at port. And I was still in college. So I've been a very, always all my life, learning oriented individual. And this was a place where I could learn so much about so many different businesses in real time in a fast-paced environment.
It sounds like you found something that you're extremely passionate about and you pursued it vigorously, but you, in the back of your mind, still had that connection to education. And it seemed like it pulled you back from the sea and brought you back into the classroom, like other parts of your family. Just looking over your work at the University of Maryland, it is amazing. I'm just very, very impressed with everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
If you will, tell us a little bit more about what you're doing at the University of Maryland, and give us the background story on kind of what brought you here.
Well, so at the University of Maryland, I teach almost anything and everything supply chain management. As the academic director for the master's program in supply chain management, I collaborate with others within my department to provide a program that prepares students with must-have sought after skills in supply chain management. So we're constantly working on improving our academic offer and making sure that our program is aligned with industry needs. And almost every year or so, we go through a revision of the program, the curriculum, and we introduce new courses. We drop courses that are not working well, and we find ways to improve the skills that our students graduate with. And we focus on making sure that our students are hire ready, that they hit the ground running with must-have skills in supply chain management. So in addition to that, I also teach courses, of course, at all levels. So at the graduate level, I teach introduction courses in supply chain management. The master's level, I teach for the master's program in supply chain management. I teach a course that focuses on financial intelligence for supply chain managers, basically establishing connections between operational performance and financial statements. And for the MBAs, I teach from process improvement to global supply chain management.
Yeah, it's amazing how many different aspects of supply chain management there are, and how many that you're teaching.